Hi you guys, welcome back to another first impression video. The Big Five seems to be sorting out all of their transitional stuff and we have a new fall collection. This one is from Butterick. If this is your very first time watching one of these first impression videos, welcome. We are going to take a look at the entire collection, all the new patterns that came out for the fall, and we're just going to chat about them as if we were in the fabric store looking through the pattern books together. I'll talk about fit, I'll talk about fabrics, I'll talk about just kind of the overall designs, and we'll discover these new patterns together. All right, we are starting things off with a Mrs. and Miss Petite jacket with sleeve variations, skirt and pants. So you get the entire outfit. I love these little wardrobe patterns. They really are a great bang for the buck. We've got sizes 10 to 18 and 16 to 24 here. So note that this is the Mrs. and also Miss Petite. So I think what happens is we're not getting petite sizes necessarily 4, 6, and 8. We are getting length and shorten lines on the pattern pieces to help you adjust for length. So interesting choice that they didn't include the smallest of the Mrs. sizes in addition to the vertical alterations that you will be able to make with this. But yeah, that's what they gave us. All right, unlined waist length jackets have sleeve variations, patch pocket with flaps. Anytime this is highlighted, I think it's going to take us to a tutorial on how to sew those. Collar, back yoke, front button opening, gathered flare, high-waisted mid-calf skirt, has side pockets, narrow hem, pants sit slightly below waist. Interesting, have fly front zipper, belt loops, and side pockets and cuffed hem. Very interesting. Okay, so the waistband for the skirt and the waistband for the pants are completely different. The skirt has a, what does it have? High-waisted mid-calf skirt. It definitely doesn't have a yoke. Nope, definitely doesn't have a fly front. Looks like a flat front, maybe some gathering in the back. We'll have to look at the line drawings. And it also sits at the high waist, so it should be a straight rectangle, whereas the pants sitting slightly below the waist should have a slight curve to it and also have, the stuff to make a fly front. So you really are getting 3 very different patterns. You could rework both patterns and have high-waisted flat front pants with like a side zipper or something, and or swap out the fly front for the skirt and have, kind of like a, a jean skirt that would have a fly front. With the gathers though, that might be a little bit strange, but in theory, you could swap out the fit of these waistbands. There is the closer look at the jacket. Everything looks good here fit-wise. Notice the length is good on it. I mean, it is sitting just right where the end of the waistband is on the skirt. Visually, that's very attractive, very flattering. Proportions look good. We've got this big patch pocket with the flap. Looks like 2 buttons and then a notched collar. Looks like a true notched collar. Possibly a forward shouldered seam here. My only concern is that you can see she has her hand in her pocket, not her hand on her hip. If she were to try to raise her arm anymore, I think that we would run into some issues here. We're already getting a drag line here just from her hand being in her pocket. So mobility of a sleeve like this is not great. There's just not a lot of room in this sleeve cap. It looks great when your arm is just hanging down by your side, but when you go to raise your arms, I think you're going to feel some constriction there. There's illustration of the pants do have this really deep cuff. I like that a lot. And then everything else about the jacket looks to be the exact same, just the length of the sleeve is different. That's the same photo. Okay, here's the back. So we do have some range of motion going if you were to put your arms in front of you. That's what all of this is. If you're raising it to the side, I don't know why you would do that. Yeah, just like lifting your arm over your head. I think you would, it would just feel tight. It wouldn't be unwearable. It would just feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable while you were doing that. Here's the back of the skirt. I still can't tell if this is flat front all the way around and has an invisible zipper here. I think that's what's happening, but I'm not entirely sure. Here is let's look at the bigger line drawings. Hold on. So there's the jacket. It is really cute. Very, not nothing we haven't seen before. But I think with the right fabric and whenever you make it into a set where they match, I don't know, it just kind of elevates it a little bit. There is a invisible zipper in the back. You can see that here. And then there's pockets, side seam pockets on the skirt. Same thing, side seam pockets on the pant. Single darts on the front and the back. And the fly front. That's how you get into it. There's also belt carriers here too. So all in all, I do like this design a lot. I think you get a lot of wear out of it. Like I said, it's technically 1, 2, 3, 4 patterns, and you can mix and match. So, that's very valuable. Fabrics, they're recommending poplin, sateen, twill, and wool blend. So remember, this is a fall pattern technically. So they are going to be recommending fabrics that are ideal for fall. That doesn't mean you can only make this pattern out of these fall fabrics. You could, explore things. If we were making it in the spring, for example, you could explore things like eyelet or gauze or, other lightweight woven fabrics. These tend to be more in the mid-weight range. So they have listed twill, but they left off like denim. You could obviously use denim to make it. You could use different fabrics for the skirt than you would for the jacket. The skirt can really be made out of just about anything under the sun. Everything from cottons and chambray. You could do a sateen, although that is listed here. You could also do like even lightweight fabrics like challis. You could do this skirt out of. So more options than just this, but they do make suggestions based on the season that the pattern was released. So that's what all of this is. Okay, now for notions, this is really what, for me, determines if a pattern is going to be affordable or not to make, because the notions tend to be the most expensive part if you're not somebody who likes very, very expensive fabrics. But all we need for this one, for the jacket, you just need 2 3/4-inch buttons. And then for the skirt, you need a zipper. And for the pants, you need a different zipper and a button. So not the worst I've ever seen. Certainly not no notions, but not a very extensive, expensive list of notions. Sizing wise, do not have finished garment measurements on this one. I think because there's so many patterns that they don't make room for them. I don't know. There does seem to be a little bit of room here, but I'm going to try and not be too nitpicky about that. But you can tell the jacket is really going to be based off of your bust, your upper bust size. You're really only going to want maybe like 3 inches there. The skirt waistband and the pant waistband, the skirt should be 1 inch larger than your waist. The pants can be up to 2 because it does sit a little bit lower on your waist. But good start. Very Butterick, right? That pattern. Okay, now we have a pencil skirt in 2 lengths. This one is in sizes 6 to 18 and 14 to 26. Now, this is the very first time I've ever seen 3 sizes repeated, right? So it really is speaking to the girlies who are mid-size, right? Like I'm usually in between the smaller size range and the larger size range. In a dress, ideally, I would have to buy both size ranges. This is just a skirt, so it's not that impactful, but if they had done this on a dress, then I could definitely just pick the larger size range and have bust, waist, and hip all in one. So if this is something that they're moving towards sizing wise, that's very interesting. If they've only done this because they figured, you know what, we have the space for it on the tissue paper, might as well. At least they're thinking more, at least they're putting more thought into, okay, what's the best experience for the end user? Having more sizes in one than fewer. And if we can overlap some of them, even better, because people will be able to be more confident in choosing one size range or the other. Very interesting. All right, so skirt sits slightly below the waist with a straight pencil silhouette, fly front zipper, belt loops, patch pockets. Skirt features a center front slit and length variations. And I don't know, did they include this in the last one? I just skipped it. Anyways, they've been doing this. They started doing this year, maybe like a season or 2 ago. But this fabric is a 6.5 ounce denim. That's super helpful. They're not telling you exactly where they got it, but if you look for a 6.5 ounce denim, it's all the same. That's very, very specific. And then the fabric suggestions will be denim, linen, twill, wool blends. But again, you can think about this for other seasons. Not to say that you are going to really want to make it out of something other than that, but these are the ideal fall fabrics for it. I guess I would maybe include like corduroy, maybe a suede if it were winter, things like that. Okay, so they mentioned it does sit lower on the waist. Now this is quite a bit lower, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. That said, it just might be a little bit big on her. It's really hard to tell with the skirt, right? Because there's no crotch. There's really nothing to help you determine if it's sitting high up on the body or not. So I would just make sure when you go to pick your size that you are getting that waistband to be like 1 inch below your waist plus like an extra inch just for like movement, and then fitting your hip from there would be what I would suggest, what I would do. Here's the illustration. We did have one. Yeah, the pockets look to be in the right place. So that's good. Oh no. Can we not clip our threads? Oh wait, does that not look like is that on my screen? Oh, just kidding. That's a speck on my screen. Okay. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We do have darts in the front, single darts in the back. Don't feel like you can't add more darts. For me, if I'm making a pencil skirt and it's fitted at the waist like this, then I might need 3 darts to get it to fit my hip, and then bring in all this extra fabric to fit my waist. Now this does sit a little bit lower, so I might not need that many, but if it's in a high-waisted skirt, yeah, I usually need like 3. So don't feel like you are stuck with just one. You can definitely add more. All right, we already went over fabric. Notions, we have a zipper, top stitching thread, 3 or 1 button, depending on whether or not you're buttoning the flaps on the front or not. Or I guess if you're including the front pockets or not. So again, no notions, but not the most expensive list I've ever seen. Fitting wise, they're only giving us the hip measurement. The hip measurement does have 2.5 inches of ease. So very much a pencil skirt. So fit the hip, fit the waistband, and then get those two things to fit together by adding more darts. Okay, now we've got this little cowl neck blouse with sleeve variations. A cowl neck with a collar. Can't say I've ever seen that before. Again, we've got the repeating sizes. So 6 to 18, 14 to 26. Fitted blouse pattern with cowl neckline, collar, and collar band. Oh, so it's like a true collar too. Interesting. View A is sleeveless. View B has long sleeve cuffs. This is a silk crepe de chine. You can also use challis, charmeuse, cotton blends, crepe de chine. So lightweight, drapey-ish fabrics. You do want some drape for this cowl. Otherwise, it'll just stand away from your body really weird. But yeah, I mean, I'm not very much into wearing blouses anyways. That's just not my lifestyle. But a blouse with a cowl neck and a collar. Does it just fit over your head because of the cowl neck? I guess so. I don't not like it. It does seem a little bit fussy, maybe. I don't know what the word is. I think that if you showed up, somewhere in this, it would be fine. You know what I mean? It's not like the most fashion forward thing, but neither is Butterick in general. Like their brand is just not for that. So this is probably pushing the boundaries of Butterick the most that they're ever gonna do, right? Oh, there it is tucked in. You can see we've got, oh, that's just a pucker. That's just sewing. And then a 3 button that looks to be a, oh God, it's like a bound. It's like kind of like a faux, I think it's the faux, God, what's it called? Sleeve placket. It's not the traditional one where you have like the point that you would see on like a white button down, like a traditional button down. This is the faux one. It is a little bit easier to sew, although, I don't know, bias binding on this silky fabric could be a bit of a challenge. Fit-wise, it feels fine. I mean, this might be a little bit long on her. That could be because the collar is being pulled open and causing this to, fall down a little bit. I don't hate the fit at all. Yeah, it's definitely not giving this. It kind of, the cowl kind of stops. It's not as drapey as it's being pictured here. There were also, yeah, there's no darts or anything. So there is like a curve to the side seam that's giving it its shape. I did like the shape of it. It looked flattering. Okay, we went over fabrics. All you need for this one is 6 buttons, especially if they're those really inexpensive like shirt buttons like they use. You can get those for really inexpensive. Fitting wise, we have 5 inches in the bust. That makes perfect sense for like a lightweight drapey fabric. And then in the waist, we have, gosh, what is that? 10, 9, 8 inches. Again, that makes perfect sense. So I would just check, yeah, I would just check the shoulder length on you, especially if your shoulders tend to be narrower or wider than usual. But other than that, it looks fine. Okay. Now we have a jacket that looks a lot like that, right? I mean, they're not the same. Okay, sizing wise, we're back to the traditional, well, 8 to 18 and then 16 to 26. So we are overlapping 2 of them. The overlapping, that's a positive sign, you guys. I'm not going to just let that slide. That's, it's really, really helpful for a lot of people out there. Semi-fitted online jacket with length variations, has notch collar, button front, patch pockets with buttoned flaps. That's the exact same as that other pattern. The only difference is this one has princess seams and 2-piece sleeves. So slightly elevated in terms of construction on this one. We have a wool suiting in a black and beige plaid. You can also use denim, twill, wool blends. But again, you can also use things like sateen, of course. You could use corduroy. You could use like other types of suiting, just not wool. Lots of options. And it comes in 2 lengths. I wish that because the other one is so similar to this and it's cropped length that they would have made the sample out of this. I get that costs more money for them, but I would like to have seen this one on an actual person, since we can kind of visualize what this one looks like based on the other pattern. But that's just me being super nitpicky. Okay, so here's the jacket. It has smaller buttons and more of them. And then you can add on these bottom patch pockets, but it's really the same pocket, just repeated 4 times. This looks like there is like a shoulder pad situation. I can confirm that in the notions. And then a long 2-piece sleeve, which does help with range of motion a little bit. There's the longer version. Yeah, the length of this feels like not quite long enough. Like it's kind of living in between. Like this is probably, I don't know, an inch or so below your full hip. I might add a couple of inches just to give clearance for the booty, because I have a booty. If you don't have a booty, then maybe this length looks good. Picture like a tunic. That's what kind of length this is, I think. Okay, so they opened up the jacket and they propped her arm up. So yes, there are some lines happening here, but it doesn't seem like she's constricted at all. It's a really nice sleeve. I like it. I like the look of the sleeve. And then, oh, there's the back. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful back. You can see where, like, this is a beautiful shoulder line. Like the sleeve cap and the shoulder are all talking to each other beautifully. There's not a ton of excess fabric here, just enough so you can put your arms in front of your body. And then you can see that 2-piece sleeve here too. Very nice. So, notions wise, 8 buttons and yes, a pair of shoulder pads. So the shoulder pads, that starts to get a little bit expensive, maybe like $5, $8, something like that for the shoulder pads. And then the 8 buttons that are 3/4 of an inch, those can also get kind of expensive. So again, not the most expensive list I've seen, but it adds up, right? Finished garment, or the fit wise, we've got 5 inches in the bust again. Again, that makes perfect sense. Check the finished back length from base of neck just to make sure it hits on your butt, on the back of your body where you want it to. But yeah, another really kind of classic design from Butterick. In my mind, Butterick is like the everyday woman. Like, she probably has an office job. She probably, is a little bit more conservative. All of those kinds of things. All right, here's a knit jumpsuit with length and sleeve variations. Now, we have not done an elastic waist jumpsuit in a very long time. I'd kind of thought we were all kind of over those, but here is another one. So let's chat about it. Size-wise, we have all the sizes are in one, extra small to 2XL. I'll look at the size chart at the end and see exactly what that means in terms of hips and bust. Not the most size inclusive, I don't think, but it should represent their entire numerical size range. Semi-fitted, open back knit jumpsuits have elastic waist, patch pockets, stitched facings, length variations, long sleeved, and sleeveless options. This is a tencel terry, a tencel French terry, and you can also use stretch knits such as cotton knit, French terry, lightweight sweatshirt fleece, velour. Yes, maybe like a velveteen, and you can make it like for the holidays, a sweatshirting, which I guess this kind of alludes to that. Yeah, all of those, like, I'm assuming, quote unquote, stretch knits that don't actually have a ton of stretch to them. We're still not getting the stretch percentages. It still says see stretch gauge. Where's the stretch gauge? You know, it's not on this listing anywhere. You have to buy the pattern to see the stretch gauge. I hate that. That is like my number one gripe now. Now that we've got finished garment measurements on the envelopes, now I want to see stretch percentages. So there's also this contrast in jersey. I don't know what that means. Maybe looking at the back of the envelope will help us understand that better. All right, so this little back strap is elasticated, which is nice. It's a very loose fitting. This is like not close to the body at all. The shoulders are meant to be oversized and long, like a sweatshirt would be, but the neckline is also very open. It's giving slouchy. The elastic waistband is wider, like the elastic itself is wider. I like that better than when we were doing them before and you had that little chintzy 1/4 inch elastic. This feels more purposeful. That said, though, this is not helping. I get that she's like into her hip. I don't know why they would have chosen this picture. This makes it look like it doesn't fit well when it might just be how she's standing. If you look at this sleeve compared to this sleeve, like, you know, this just looks way, way, way too big. Too long, especially when you have the elasticated cuff. I think that if it were like either just hemmed or maybe even like a traditional cuff but not elasticated and it hung like over her hand, you know, even that might be more modern of a fit than what this is. So, and then this version just with a band here, I'm 99% sure you can see her boob. There's not going to be anything under there. You'd have to wear like a bralette or something, which would then ruin the appearance of the back. So yeah, choices are going to be made here for sure to get this to fit your, like, whatever you're comfortable with. We do have deep, like stitched down pockets, which is illustrated here as well. Let's see if we get any better pictures. Nope, these are the same, just zoomed out, zoomed in. Okay, the zoomed out of the back is very promising. I love the shape of the leg. I love the way that it fits her booty. Even the blousiness of this is reading better to me than the whatever is happening on the front picture. This, I do think the intention of it is to be really slouchy, really blousy. We're not getting that bloused effect in the illustrations. So, I mean, you can definitely eliminate that. It doesn't have to be so slouchy. It's hard for me to even tell if this is actually hitting at her natural waist. It could just be that we have a long bodice, which would not be abnormal for the Big Five. So maybe just check from your high point shoulder to your waist point and to your waistline and shorten that if you need to, and then I think the rest of it will fall into place. It does seem to be a little bit long in the crotch, which I don't hate that look. But if you were to reduce the length here, then that would naturally reduce the length here as well. So yeah, I think just double checking some of the length measurements on this in addition to picking the right size will go a long way. All right, let's go back this way and finish up the back. All right, so we have 1 inch elastic and that's it. You probably have that on hand. You do need a little bit more than just your waist. You need some for this and for the cuffs as well. And then, so the contrast is an inside casing. All right. So, I mean, you don't have to use that jersey fabric. If you have some laying around, by all means, you could use that. You could definitely just use like a regular lining fabric as well. This is not a fitted garment by any means. Like, your fabric doesn't even technically have to have any stretch. Everything is being held together and held up by elastic. Nothing is close fitting at all. And then finished garment measurement wise, yeah, it's very, very big. So we have, 14 inches in the bust. And then in the hip, we have 12-ish. So you could also size down. If that oversized thing is not for you, you could definitely size down. But it looks like we have, finished wise. Well, that's not really that helpful. Actually, let's do body measurements. From a 29.5-inch bust up to a 48-inch bust, and then a 31.5-inch hip to a 50-inch hip. 4 to 26, that is their entire misses range. So yeah, because it's alphanumeric as well, you're getting 2 sizes in one. So really pay attention to the size that you pick, and maybe even size down one, no matter what, if you want to get something a little less oversized, a little less slouchy, a little bit more, I don't know, refined looking, I guess. Okay, next up we have a jacket in 2 lengths. Sizes, we've got 8 to 18 and then 16 to 26. Loose fitting jacket has extra long dolman sleeves, front welt pockets, length variations. View A has purchased frog closure. View B has bias loops and self-covered buttons. How fun is that? Wool coating is this, and then you can also use boiled wool, boucle, wool blends, and then if you were making this in the spring or something, you could absolutely use, springtime jacketing fabrics. There is a lining. I'm assuming it's fully lined, so charmeuse, crepe de chine, or other lining fabrics. So we have this kind of like a little bit of a grown-on funnel neck, kind of, sort of, and then these are the frog closures. Frog closures they're definitely a distinct look. I've never seen a frog closure that makes me feel like something is very young and hip and modern. It always leans toward matronly. I wish that they would just redesign these little bubbly ends so that they could be maybe a little bit more modern, but certainly fairly easy to sew. Also, it did say that these were covered buttons, but these are not. This is a purchased button. So I guess you could do either or. But the pattern piece itself is like, this would be the right front and the sleeve all in one. So the seam line goes from the outside. You can see that here. From the outside here, this is all one pattern piece. So it's going to be a bit of a fabric hog. We also do have welt pockets, so you'd be practicing with that. And then is there a button or a snap or something to keep the bottom of this closed? Possibly. We'll look at the notions list. It's a very, you can see it really well here. It's a very sleek look, very kind of modern. I actually really enjoy the shape of this jacket a lot. And for what it's worth, it's stupid simple to sew. This would be the hardest thing. There's the back. I mean, it is like, just 1, 2, 3. Well, I guess it's just 2 pattern pieces, but it doesn't look too big. I mean, this feels appropriate considering all the fabric that's being tucked away into her arm there. All right, you can see really well here. You see how it's just 1 pattern piece for the back, 1 pattern piece, or maybe 2 for the front. I can't tell what's going on under here. And then there might be a facing, there might not be a facing. I don't know. 2 frog closures, 3 buttons to cover. Okay, so no snap or anything. So under here, it's just open. Dang, I really like this. Every time there's a coat that I'm like, oh, I should make this. And then I remember I live in North Carolina and we don't need coats. One day I'll live in, I don't know, Maine or something, and I'll need a coat. All right, bust is going to be very oversized. Yeah, we have 7.5 inches there. So, don't worry about fit too much. Just fit your upper bust and keep it moving. Okay, next is our first vintage pattern. This is a 1970s vest and jacket. Sizing 6 to 16 and 16 to 26. Vintage 1970s vest and jacket sewing pattern, lined to edge. Fitted vest has U neckline, front button closing, princess seaming, patch pockets, shape front hemline. Fitted jacket has pointed collar, wide lapels, front buttoned closing, princess seaming, shaped patch pockets, shaped front hemline, shoulder pads, back vents. Full length 2-piece sleeves have vents with button and top stitch trim. Whew. All right. So we've got this little vest under here and this jacket. The jacket is pretty much a classic blazer with the notched collar, 2-piece sleeve, the working vented sleeve placket. Did I say patch pockets already? Patch pockets, maybe some kind of darts or shaping or something. I can't, yeah, there's like a princess seam here. And then the vest is a pointed hem. There's a little dart here, a little baby, like coin pocket. And then I think what makes this one special is the U neckline is really nice. You can see that here. Oh, and there are back princess seams with vents and then back princess seams here. For what it's worth, this would make a cute top. I could live without the blazer, but this is a cute top, I think. Fabrics are going to be soft or crisp fabrics such as corduroy, denim, flannel, gabardine, medium weight knits even, medium weight wool, poplin, tweed, velveteen. But again, remember, these are fall suggestions, so you could definitely make this out of springtime jacketing fabrics as well. Or if you were going to make this into a top, you could think about it kind of like whatever you would use to make like a corset. Visualize that, and any of those fabrics would work as well. Okay, notions list does seem long. 2 3/4 inch and 6 5/8 inch buttons, 2 shoulder pads, and straight seam binding. And then that's just for the jacket, and the vest only has 5 buttons. All right, and then fitting wise, we have 3.5 inches in the bust, and what would that be? 12 in the waist. For the jacket, the waist of the vest, though, only has 5. And then, wait, what am I saying? The vest, start over. The bust of the vest has 3.5 inches. The bust of the jacket has 4.5 inches. The waist of the vest has 5 inches. The waist of the jacket has 7 inches. Still kind of big, I feel like. Maybe the bust is fine, but these waist measurements of the vest seem very big, right? 5 inches? Yeah. I mean, you could stand to lose 1 or 2 inches of that and you would be fine. I guess it depends on if you plan on layering it or not. That's cute though. If this goes on sale, I would buy this just for that little vest pattern. Okay, next. Speaking of layering, we have a button down. Thankfully, this is our first button down of the collection. Last time I think there were 4 and it was just too much of the same. But this is a Palmer Pletsch. Who is Tammy? Tammy Pontsler for Palmer Pletsch. Okay, that's the first time I'm hearing Tammy's name. I'll have to do some research on that. But this is a Mrs. shirt with princess seams. Now Palmer Pletsch is known for fitting. They quote unquote invented the tissue fitting method. So there are lots of there's lots of alteration lines on the pattern to help you get a perfect fit. So if you want a perfect fit button down, get a Palmer Pletsch pattern for sure. All right, so this one comes in sizes 8 to 16 and then 18 to 26. Fitted button front shirt with cutaway neckline. Cutaway neckline. I think that means this little thing here. Collar band, shaped hem, includes options for 3/4 sleeves or long sleeves with placket and cuff. Classic Oxford shirting. You could also do it in lawn, linen, and poplin. Coarse cotton, cotton blends, all of those things. The thing with Palmer Pletsch is that it should fit perfectly. Now they are using I'm sure they're using like a standard size and then like maybe didn't even have the model's measurements, so find someone close enough. But because this woman is the same woman that's been in all the other photos, it's not a model just for Palmer Pletsch. So it does fit her really well, considering they probably didn't even have her measurements. Maybe a small little issue here, but honestly, if that's the only issue I had making my own fitted button down, I'd be happy with that. But it looks like we have these princess seams and then they're like top stitched. So that's kind of an interesting detail. You can do pockets like this or without, 3/4 sleeves or long sleeves with the cuff. Great, looks wonderful. The back should be great too, and pretty much is. This is what a true placket looks like. You can see that here. Can you tell the difference between that and the silky top? So yeah, if you're wanting to like really spend some time on fitting, this is a great place to start. So we need 10 1/2-inch buttons, well, 10 or 8, depending on which version you're making. And then fit wise, we've got 2 inches in the bust and 3.5 in the waist. And then we're not getting hip measurements, but great classic thing. I just got to learn who Tammy is. Okay, next up is this little jacket, skirt, and pants. So another little like wardrobe pattern. Sizing is 10 to 18 and then 16 to 24. Line jacket has notch collar, long 2-piece sleeves, mock welt pockets. Skirt has waistband with hook and bar closure, invisible side zipper, but also a hook and bar closure. That doesn't make very much sense. Is the hook and bar on the side? Front and back darts and back vent. Tapered leg pants have side front opening, waistband with hook and bar closure. Yeah, it does look like the hook and bar is on the side. Interesting. Okay. Fabric suggestions. Well, this one was made in a wool suiting, but you can also use crepe, linen blends. I'm sure other types of suiting. It's your classic, blazer and skirt or pants. So the blazer has a large dart, also princess seam, so we're getting lots of opportunities for shaping here in the waist. Perfect if you're an hourglass. Notched collar, welt pocket, although I think these are faux welt pockets. And then you've got a sleeve. It's a 2-piece sleeve. And then I think this is a faux sleeve placket. Certainly there are shoulder pads in here. The fit of the sleeve on the shoulder looks really, really good. Yeah, I wish they would open the jacket so that we can see. There's the vent. Again, beautiful shoulder seams here. We've got the princess seams again, also a center back seam. So lots of opportunities for shaping that waistline. And then there's the back of the skirt with the vent. Very nice. Not for me and my lifestyle, but it's a classic. 2 7/8-inch buttons, a pair of shoulder pads, also a pair of sleeve heads. So that goes in more of the sleeve area and less of the shoulder area. The sleeve cap, 8 buttons. That's all for the jacket. The skirt gets an invisible zipper. Okay, so there's no hook and bar closure on the skirt, I don't think. The pants are the one that have the hook and bar. No, hook and bar for B and C. I guess it's hook and bar on the side. And then no fit measurements on this one. Next, we've got our second vintage pattern. This one's 1960s blouse with 4 different necklines. Sizing 8 to 18, 16 to 26. Vintage Butterick 1960s quick and easy suit blouse. Has 4 different necklines, all flattering. Okay, thanks. I think I'll be the judge of that. View A has collar ending in bow. View B has loop trim. What's loop trim? View C has drape trim. And view D has a U-shaped collar. Okay, batiste, broadcloth, crepe, shantung, and sarah. Not things maybe crepe and broadcloth you see more, and batiste probably, but some of these you don't see anymore. What I think they're really trying to say is something that's like lightweight and crisp. So think about more like a shirting fabric. You can do it out of something lightweight and drapier as well. What they didn't mention that's also interesting is this a grown-on sleeve. So you don't have to worry about set-in sleeves at all. Great for a beginner, especially if this is your first button down. You could really focus on the construction of that and not have to worry about the sleeves. Also, though, the collar construction could be a little bit of a challenge if you've never done this before. But you just have one little dart here. I think there's also darts here. But then you can see these necklines. Very cute. I wish I were more of a 60s vintage girly. I'm more of a 70s vintage girly. These are cute. They're giving like that's kind of sailor-esque type of vibe. So yeah, there are darts front and back on the hemline as well. One snap and seam binding. And then also for A and B, you need 4 buttons. And for C and D, you need 3 buttons. Then fitting wise, we have 5 inches in the bust. And we have 4 inches of ease in the waist. That seems right. 5, well, yeah, I mean, it depends on how fitted you like your clothes. 5 is not atrocious, but you could stand to lose 1 or 2 and you would be fine. All right, now we have pajamas. Butterick sewing pattern children's and Mrs. knit romper and jumpsuit. Why did I think this was pajamas? I don't know. It doesn't seem, because it kind of, I guess the print looks a little bit like pajamas. All right. Sizing small to large in kids, I guess, and extra small to extra large in adults or misses. Designed for comfort and style, mother-daughter matching knit jumpsuit features a flattering scoop neckline and comes in 2 versatile lengths, wide leg pants or playful shorts. Elasticated waist offers an easy pull-on fit. Both versions include side seam pockets. Choose between long sleeves or short sleeves. This is a 4-way stretch knit, which is important for jumpsuits. But you can also use jersey, lycra spandex blends, nylon lycra blends, polyspan blends, or stretch cottons. So we've got kind of a scoop neckline. We've got a gathered pant into a waist, and then the scoop kind of pocket, and then a pretty wide leg pant. I wish they would have made the misses in the pants and the girls in the shorts or vice versa, so we could kind of see the difference there. But it looks like it's the same pant leg, just one is shorter, right? It doesn't look like they changed the shape of the leg at all. And then you can do short sleeves with what looks to just be like a traditional turned back hem. I don't think it's a band. And the back has a scoop as well. A little short, short in the rise here. It's giving kind of ballerina a little bit. Also this sleeve head, this is the second time we've had some kind of like little pucker in the sleeve right there. That shouldn't be an issue for their experienced seamstresses. So might be an issue with the drafting, like the sleeve cap of the cap of the sleeve is just a little bit too small. But let's see. Sizing. Oh, they gave us finished garment measurements. Let's look at AB. AB children's misses. Okay, so is it different? It's different, I think. So in the misses, it looks like we have 0 inches of ease. And in the children's, we have -2. And then in the hip, there's positive on both, 10 inches about. So that makes sense. That 0 inches of ease in a fitted bodice makes perfect sense. Glad to see that. All right. Next up, we have a 1950s capelet yoked dress. Wow. 8 to 18, 16 to 26. Vintage Butterick 50s capelet yoke dress, V neckline, molded bodice. Molded with what? Boning? Softly gored skirt. A has below elbow sleeves. B is sleeveless with lace trim on yoke. And C is sleeveless, simulated pockets on yoke. Okay, cotton broadcloth, crepe, fail, linen, piqué, rayon flannel, never seen that, and shantung. So again, that light to mid-weight kind of crispy fabric, not too much drape. You do have a seam here. I don't know how this is constructed. This little cape certainly gets sewn in somehow, but it looks like the cape is this all one pattern piece? Very interesting. And then you have the gored skirt with the faux, didn't it say faux pockets? That's the sleeved version. That's the one with the lace trim. And that's just the sleeveless one. Interesting. Let's see if I can see anything different in here. Yeah, I think this piece is all one, and somehow it gets sewn to this. Zipper on the side. Interesting. What is this on the back? I don't know what that is. Um, Very 50s, right? Cotton broadcloth. We talked about this, right? Yeah, we did. So notions, invisible zipper, seam binding, shoulder pads, and the belt is optional. And also for B, you need flat lace trim for the little sleeve. Cute though. So 6 inches of ease in the bust and 1 inch of ease in the waist. 6 inches in the bust, huh? That doesn't look like 6 inches in the bust to me. I'm thinking probably closer to 2 or 3 in the bust. I don't know where 6 inches is coming from. 6 inches would be too much. All right, next up, family pajamas. They always come out in the fall so that you can sew them for the holidays. We are getting, looks like Henley tops and jogger pants. Kids extra small to large and adults extra small to extra large. Get the whole family ready for relaxing nights and festive mornings. Soft knit Henley top with 3-button placket, elastic waist knit joggers, contrasting leg bands for a modern touch. That's these down here, like a rib knit. Okay, great. Oh, this won't move. There we go. Stretch knits only. Activewear knits, bamboo, interlock, ITY, jersey, modal, rib knit. Yeah, you can also do, what's the classic Henley pajama knit fabric? A waffle knit. You could do that. But yeah, pretty straightforward here. Great. Yep. Yep. How cute. Oh, look at the mix matched ponytail holders and the bear slippers. That's too much. Some illustrator had a lot of fun with that. Okay, so you need buttons for the Henley top and elastic for the pants. And then it looks like adult wise, we've got 3 to 5 inches of ease in the bust. And the hip, yeah, like 3.5 or less, depending on where you are in the alphanumeric sizing. So yeah, pretty fitted pant. Not too fitted. You just want to make sure your fabric has some stretch to it, which obviously it should. You should probably also have two-way stretch for the pants because there's a crotch there. Then we have a nightgown, robe and nightgown, sizes extra small to 2XL. Button front robe, very loose fitting through bust, has long sleeves. Lace trim, side seam pockets, sleeveless nightgown, loose fitting through bust, has lace trim and button and loop front opening. Polyester cotton seersucker with crochet lace trim. Okay. Broadcloth flannel, seersucker. Yeah, again, those kind of like structured but lightweight woven fabrics. So the robe and the dress have the exact same bodice? Just one has sleeves and one doesn't? That seems strange. Like, if you layered these on top of each other, are you not supposed to do that? You're supposed to make one or the other? I think you're supposed to make one or the other, I think. Is she wearing both? No, she's just wearing one. Okay, all right. So I guess you just wear this with a different robe. I do like this. I mean, I think it looks very, I don't know, very expensive, very well made, very like, you'd see that in the store and it'd be like $150 or something. Seersucker is super easy to work with. I like how it's higher up on the neck here. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not the length of it, but I do like the bodice design. It'd make a really cute top if you just cut it off here. Yeah. Okay. Fun. Again, what is with this? That's obviously like it's supposed to be gathered into there, but that's a bigger pucker than usual. Why does it keep happening at the exact same spot on all of these sleeves? This would be great for all of those. I have a lot of vintage sheets that I thrift. This would be perfect out of one of those as well. Now, look at this notions list, though. This is what I was explaining to you guys. This is a very easy thing to sew. Very affordable, as I was just explaining, with if you use like a vintage sheet or something. But then you start to buy 2 yards of scalloped edge lace trim. That's expensive. 3/4 of a yard of 2-inch trim, 14 buttons. Now, they don't have to be fancy buttons, they can just be basic plastic shirt buttons. But 7/8 of a yard or a yard of elastic. And then for the dress, you would also need 6 buttons, half a yard of elastic, cording for the loops, and single fold bias tape in addition to all of this other stuff. Well, I guess in addition to this list, the AB list, the trim list. So that gets expensive. That's probably $20 worth of notions right there. If you don't happen to have that already, or I don't know, some super easy, affordable way to get it. Yeah, it can get pretty pricey. Fit wise is almost negligible because they give us this bust measurement. The nightgown has 30 inches of ease. There, at the bust? I mean, maybe. No, there is a lot of gathering at the upper bust, right? But is that 60? It might be because the back has the gathering too. That's crazy. I would just double check with, what would I double check with? Maybe if you could measure your upper bust against whatever piece this is, like the yoke or something, before all the gathers start. I think your full bust line measurement is a little too hard to tell because of all that gathering. But the upper bust against that yoke should work. And just base your size off of that and honestly kind of ignore the finished garment measurements. Eek. I know that's scary, but yeah, you certainly don't want to be drowning in it. Yeah, that's less helpful than it should be. I think people would see that and be like, what in the world? I don't know what to do with that. It is accurate, but it's not helpful, if that makes sense. But I like that. I don't know, maybe I'm going to turn into like, I really must be entering like a whole new phase of my life if pajamas are the most exciting thing. A nightgown is the most exciting thing about this whole collection. Oh my gosh. All right, the rest are kids' clothes, and then this was all from the spring collection. So that's it. That's our Butterick fall collection. What do you guys think? This is really kind of like the first, peek into what the new Big Five would be like. Still some room for improvement, as always, with the information that we're given. But I am really impressed by the overlapping sizing. I think that is giving me a lot of hope for what might be on the horizon. But let me know what you guys think about the designs. Are you going to pick up any of these? Have you already? I know this collection's been out for a minute, but yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Otherwise, that's going to do it for me today, y'all. I will see you all very soon. Bye!